How's it going, IBA fans? Welcome to your weekly Power Rankings. My name is Justin's Case, and I'm joined here with Flame Horizon.
What's going on, guys?
Anyways, guys, every week we're going to go over what we think were the teams shined the best or the worst in our opinions. This week we're doing post-draft, where we look at the teams and based on how they draft, and we give them a ranking on their team composition as on paper and what we think how they will perform.
And looking at it now, a lot of the teams are actually very close when it comes to composition. And and another thing with that would be that when we actually get into actual matches, we'll see how everything unfolds.
Yeah, exactly. I had a hard time placing mostly the middle teams. I feel like we're all very close together.
For me, it was like 3 to 14. I just could not place without making some people just why did I get this spot?
Yeah, I feel like after discussing them, we're going to probably have some second thoughts, maybe I should have placed them higher. But anyways, we'll see what we have right now. Starting off with the bottom, I think we both, looking at our power rankings, I think we both agree what we have here is the Arizona Diamond Storms team. I'm not a huge fan of this one.
Honestly, neither am I. The one thing that made me just over the top was APOM.
Yeah, apparently that was a meme pick. Memes will give you dreams, but they will cost you power rankings.
Yeah. Honestly, I like APOM as a Pokemon, but I don't think it'll do good in a draft league.
Yeah, Ambipom would, but not so much APOM. And this team, even with that, just kind of has some questionable composition. A rundown would be he has Sylveon, Terrakion, Thundurus Incarnate, Zygarde 10%, Decidueye, Toxicroak, Incineroar, APOM as we discussed, Perugly, Steelix, and Mega Blastoise.
I like the Incineroar pick. Incineroar is actually one of my favorite fire types in this new gen. However, the way how slow it is might not work with this team. His team is actually very slow. His fastest 2 Pokemon are fastest 3 would be Thundurus, Terrakion, and Zygarde 10%.
Yeah, and they share a lot of common weaknesses. Zygarde and Thundurus both share a big ice weakness, as well as Terrakion and a lot of other members of his team, including Incineroar, APOM, Perugly, and Steelix, all share a big fighting weakness, which is kind of unfortunate. So that can be very easily exploited in matches.
And he also has a water weakness that I can see that does kind of get covered up by Toxicroak with dry skin. But otherwise, water can hit him pretty hard as well.
Yeah, and as far as his hazard control goes, he has Mega Blastoise and Decidueye. Mega Blastoise is decent as a spinner. I wouldn't say it's great, because Blastoise you generally want to pack as a powerhouse hitter. But honestly, his hazard control is kind of subpar, I would say.
Honestly, with Decidueye as well, it can be used either a special wall, is what I've seen used a lot. But as a defogger, I'm not quite sure, because you'll either see the special wall with Roost, or you'll see the Swords Dance, Leaf Blade, Baton Pass.
Yeah, exactly. I see, as far as his Z-move users go, on paper he has Thundurus Incarnate, Terrakion, and Zygarde 10%. Honestly, with Z-move users, you want to find stuff that has the most variety and hits the most things. The problem I have with this is Z-move users kind of all have the same general move pool, like Terrakion and Guard 10%. Kind of just have the similar sets and really don't have much variety as far as Z-move users go.
They both have rock and ground as their main attacks that you would see from them. Thundurus Eye and Terrakion also both have steel, I think. So
yeah, the Thundurus Eye is
Flash Cannon and Iron Head.
Yeah, the Thundurus Eye definitely, I would say, is probably a saving grace. It has a lot of coverage as far as the Z-move user goes, and Prankster is also generally useful. I would definitely say that. And Sylveon this is probably his other saving grace.
Thundurus Eye is my favorite Pokemon on his team, just because if it can set up a nasty plot or two, that thing can just sweep.
Exactly, and nothing really wants to take a hyper voice from Sylveon, so he has prospects. I would definitely recommend, as much as I know you love memes, but I definitely recommend getting rid of that APOM and picking up something to patch up the fighting weakness, and something maybe in hazard control could be really nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright then, moving on to number 15. This is where we start to have a disagreement. I have personally on my number 15 the Rhode Island Rotoms, and I believe you want to talk about them first, or you want to talk about your pick with the Washington Jangmos?
Let's talk about the Jangmos.
All right.
Because I personally, looking at this team, I like it. It's got some decent composition. but he does have a lot of repeating types, which, in my opinion, in a draft league format, you need variety. Yeah, he has 2 fairy types. He has a few water types. Cresselia, Mega Charizard X, and Landorus T are probably my favorite picks for that team, specifically, because all of them do really well in this format. But getting into it, I don't really like the Clefairy pick and the Lapras pick, because Lapras may have really high HP and can take a lot of hits, but it can't deal that damage back that's needed, and it doesn't have reliable recovery. And Clefairy, without an EVO Light, is subpar, and it's very knockoff weak. His team is actually kind of knockoff weak, now looking at it. Other than Breloom and Landorus, his team is kind of knockoff weak, and Zapdos.
Well, if knockoff is weak, he does have Slurpuff, which does benefit from a burden from a knockoff. I will give him that.
Yeah.
As far as the team, I do have this team a bit higher because I do have teams that I see as lower on the draft. But yeah, his team does struggle a lot. Lapras is not the greatest. It's a good bulky water type, but with Vaporeon already picked, I don't think it was necessary. There was just it already is also a Heal Bell user, and Vaporeon already covers that. I don't see the need for Lapras on this team, honestly.
The only thing I could see him doing with Lapras is kind of like with Apom memeing with Dragon Dance Outrage set.
That is true, I guess so. And Freeze Dry is not decently bad to hit stuff hard, like water types.
Honestly, Freeze Dry is probably going to only be used really against mons like Quagsire and Swampert. They're like the main times I'm going to see it.
Yeah, true. He does have one of the best Megas in format, though. Mega Charizard X is undeniably and usually voted one of the best Megas out there for format, at least.
The only things I could say that are better than that, personally, are like Megalophony.
Megalopony, some people would argue Mega Sableye. I'm not agreeing with that, though. But anyways, yeah, Zard is very good, which does, in my opinion, is why I personally have it higher up. But anyways, this team does struggle. Big ice weakness. It has 2 water types, with Lapras wasn't a great idea. Clefairy, I don't see where that's going to fit in. And, god dang, his hazard control is awful.
All he really has is Zapdos, from what I can see.
Yeah, and Zapdos, you don't want that thing usually relying on being your defog every week. Like, Zapdos can do so much.
And, like, other than that, it's also weak to Stealth Rocks, so if it's the defogger, every team is going to have Stealth Rocks, and he has no way to counter Stealth Rocks other than that.
And when you have a Charizard X on your team, you're gonna have people bringing Stealth Rocks against you.
Yeah, it's no question.
Yeah, I agree. This team I do have higher up just because I have a team lower ranked than this, and I'm going to jump right into that. Personally, I have the Rhode Island Rotoms on this slot because I have some problems with this team. And number one is this team is weak to the most, I would say, well-known and well-spammable moves in the game since Generation 1, and that is Earthquake. He has 0 immunity to it.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, his team is very Earthquake weak. There is no situation where someone just doesn't click Earthquake, even as a mid-ground play, and this team gets hit hard. His only switch-in is Gourgeist, and that's not reliable, as Gourgeist has a lot of weaknesses, and this team is also, on the side of it, very knockoff weak.
Yeah, it actually is very knockoff heavy. The only knockoff resists he has is Zoroark, but he can't really switch that in because it would get rid of the disguise, which is the main thing it's used for.
Yeah, and Infernape, but both of those you don't want, they're so frail that you don't want them taking knockoffs.
Because Infernape normally has like that Choice Scarf, which will help it a lot, or the Focus Sash, which will help it a lot, and taking a knockoff would severely hinder it.
Exactly. His team also, he does have decent speed with Mega Beedrill. My problem is with this, though, his hazard control is not good to back that up. Because what Beedrill excels with is getting in, U-turning or hitting hard with Poison Jab, and getting out to come back in later. If someone gets rocks up on him, he's going to have some problems, because Beedrill will get whittled down real fast and can't take any kind of hit. It'll die quickly.
Yeah, his only spinner, from what I can see, is the Blastoise. And then his spin blocker is Gourgeist, but I don't really see any other hazard control than Blastoise itself.
That's my problem with this team. Like, it's not good. This team, the way I see him trying to run his games, he's going to have to run hyper offense every week. And people are going to prepare for that because his walls are not very good. Regirock is not as good Phys-Def, but very poor Spidef to take hits. And his physical walls, if he brings like stuff like Blastoise and Gourgeist each week to stop earthquake spam or spin, he's going to be very predictable and can be easy to build for.
Yeah, and honestly, like the wall thing, his best like all-around wall, in my opinion, is either Gorgeist or Blastoise. You're right. This is actually something I'd rank a little bit lower than what I did. I'm gonna have to. I'm not gonna change it from what it is now, but from what I can see, it should have been lower on my list apparently.
Yeah, definitely. I'm probably gonna have that moment a few times in this draft myself here. Let's see. Moving up into. I don't have anything else to say about this team particularly. Let's jump up into number 14 here. Let's see. You want to talk about? Oh, we both had the same one for the 14. You want to talk about the Landos?
Yeah, honestly, looking at this team, the one thing that threw me off was all of the water types.
Yeah, all his very first picks were all in a row. Were all water types. Finny, Toxapex, and I think Greninja were his first 3 picks. So, very surprised to see. First. You want to have bulky waters, and he does have 2 of the best in Tapu Fini and Pex, but that's just a lot of weakness.
Yeah, the main weakness he has that I can see is electric, but that's covered up by Jolteon and Crocodile, which is kind of like is good. But if he doesn't bring both of them some weeks, he's probably going to be hindered with the electric resist.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. Also, grass types proved to be a bit of an issue. His main resist being Talonflame and Venusaur, but those can also be not exactly reliable, as Talonflame, big nerf this generation, and Stealth Rocks just kind of ruin it completely now. And Venusaur not as all reliable because he doesn't have Sun to help it out with Chlorophyll.
Yeah, and another thing with his team is actually Mega Sableye actually got nerfed severely in this game, in this generation, because of Prankster. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Prankster has it doesn't carry over into his Mega, so he doesn't get that first turn Calm Mind just to instantly get it off. So honestly, Mega Sableye has lost a lot of its luster, in my opinion.
Yeah, that it really has, though. I also Mega Sableye is good defensively, but honestly, he does already have some pretty good. He has a good Best Defogger in Finny, but he doesn't have Wish support for it though, which really benefits Finny because it doesn't have any other recovery other than leftovers, which I really think he could have benefited.
You're right. He doesn't have Wish passing.
Yeah, I think that would really help his team. Mesprit is a general Pokemon I don't particularly like in format. It's definitely outclassed by its counterparts in Uxie and Alzoth. Ditto is a decent pickup. It's great as a counter sweeper, but you're not going to bring it every week because it can be unreliable, so my opinion.
And bringing Ditto every week can also sometimes be a bit predictable because people are like, oh, I have a setup sweeper, they're going to bring Ditto, might as well not bring it.
Exactly, and they can just run other sets that Ditto just can't thrive with because you're going to be running usually Choice Scarf or something on it.
So with the Choice Scarf Ditto, you could run like one attacking move, and if he switches it in on that Pokemon, that one attacking move could be like Stab, and wouldn't be good enough to use against it.
Exactly.
Yes. And then also Talonflame. I don't like Talonflame this generation. Talonflame to me can just kind of disappear, because with the Gale Wings nerf, all you really need to do is set up rocks, and Talonflame is just done.
Yeah, I agree. Talonflame has lost his luster. It's great when you need a great deal of speed, but he already has Jolteon, so he already had quite a bit of speed there, so I think
like Scarf Crook and Greninja too covers speed pretty well.
Yeah, and both those mons are also his Z-mons. He has Greninja, Crook, and Jolteon as Z-mons. I do like Jolteon and Greninja are very good for being Z-mons. They have a lot of coverage they can use against them and increase a lot of power. So I do like his picks there.
But then when it comes to Crocodile, its main like coverage moves are like Fire Fang and Ice Fang, and they lack the power that a Z move should have.
Yeah, basically when you're running Z move Crook, I feel like you're running either like a Tectonic Rage, Black Hole Eclipse, or like a Continental Crush, because those are his main 3 high power moves you can get ramped up with Z moves.
Yeah. That's and the only other thing I can say is Dragalge. Dragalge is a good wall breaker, but it lacks that base special attack that it normally needs. Because base 97, I think, is what it has, is not that good. Adaptability helps it, but it just doesn't. It doesn't do what a wall breaker should, in my opinion.
Yeah, it just doesn't have the versatility, I feel like, to be a wall breaker. It'll drop a Draco or use a Sludge Wave on you, but other than that, I feel like it gets walled by most steel types that can predict it when it's going to use a stab move on itself, and I just don't see it being that reliable. Yeah, you're right.
Alright, moving on. Let's see, I actually had the next pick is, for me, is the Manchester United, which you had one spot up, but next you have the Bristol City Bayonets.
Let's talk about Manchester United then, since it's so close together. Alright, so Manchester United was packing... Manchester... Oh, there we go. Oh yeah, they have Scizor, Tapu Bulu, Reuniclus, Rotom Wash, Flygon, Alolan Muck, Rhyperior, Sock, Miltank, Mismagius, and Mega Charizard Y. Off the back, I kind of do not see why Mega Charizard Y is on this team. It doesn't really have anything that helps it out. Like, if this Venusaur was on this team, I would think this would be a much better fit. But Zard Y just doesn't fit here.
Yeah, and the only thing Zard Y can kind of help with is actually the Rhyperior, giving it that water kind of like decrease, water nerf. That's the word I was looking for. But sometimes Sun can help out grass types with chlorophyll, and it can come in and kill that Rhyperior pretty easily.
Yeah, and it also boosts up anything that wants to run Hidden Power Fire for that Scizor or Tapu Bulu, and they're going to be gone real fast if that's the case.
Yep. The only saving grace for fire type moves that he has is of course the Rotom Wash and the Flygon, and he also has the Miltank. And of course, Rhyperior can come in, but most Pokemon that are packing that Hidden Power Fire can sometimes have a grass move or a water move of their own.
Yeah, I definitely say his biggest struggle, as well as his speed tiers, they are not looking too good. I think his fastest is Mismagius, which is subpar.
His fastest Pokemon is Mismagius, which I think is 102.
I think it's 103 or something. No, it's 105. That's what it is. Still not great.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's not great. You want to have, in my opinion, a good variety of speed tiers. Like, at least one above 115, one around 110, 108, and then maybe one around base 100. Because otherwise, people don't have to, run... don't need to run Jolly or Timid. They can run Adamus or Modern to hit you, which is not good news.
Yeah. Because, if you need that extra speed, because some Pokemon, or some players will realize, oh, that's their fastest Pokemon, they're probably going to run Modest. I can run Jolly and speed creep them by, 1 point.
Exactly.
So if you don't have anything above base 110, you're gonna have a hard time outspeeding everything.
Yeah, this team really struggles with that. His hazard removal is also not the greatest. I think he has Scizor. I don't think Flygon gets defogged, to my knowledge.
It does.
It does? Okay. I still don't. That's still not reliable. He has no spinners, which is not good. And with Zard Y in your team, they're packing rocks.
Yep, they're definitely packing rocks, and rocks kind of hinders. I think the rocks is actually the only thing that Mega Charizard Y is the only thing that really gets hurt really bad from rocks. So otherwise, all of his team takes 12.5% or less.
Yeah, exactly, but that one mon is what they'll bring it for. He has decent Z-move users. He has Tapu Bulu, Flygon, and Mismagius, all who have a nice variety of coverage, and Bulu will hammer you with any kind of grass move it runs with his grassy terrain up. But even still, I just don't... Yeah, no switch-ins for sure. But even still, I just don't think that makes up for it at all.
Sure, Z-move Bloom Dune from Woodhammer can just annihilate almost anything. I feel like the only things that could take a hit from that would be Fortress, but even then...
Yeah, that's not going to do... Even still, I just don't think that's going to make up for a team right now. I think this team really needs speed, and it needs it bad.
Yeah. So, what was your pick? The Bristol City Bayonets?
It was the Bristol City Bayonets. That's right. And their team was... Bristol City. Okay, yeah. It was Landorus Incarnate, Thundurus Therian, Volcanion, Como-O, Alolan Ninetales, Shaman, Escavalier, Hitmontop, Golurk, Malamar, and Mega Audino. Now this draft, you weren't around for the drafting process here, but this guy has had a very interesting draft plan. He drafted 2 Tier 3 Mons in the first 2 rounds. Alolan Ninetales and Shaman, I believe, was his first 2 picks. So this has been an interesting draft to follow, as far as draft-wise. But as far as the final product, I still say it's a little shaky. in my opinion.
See, and I put this team at number 4 just because I love the Landorus Incarnate, because even though Sheer Force is banned in this one, right?
Yeah, Sheer Force is banned.
Because even with that, you could run like Double Dance if you wanted to, if you got a little bit ballsy, if you predicted them not to prepare for that. That's the reason why I have it a bit higher, is mainly because Landorus and Volcanion and Thunderous Therian, which I really love Thunderous Therian too.
Yeah, like, he has good mons. The problem I see with this team has a lot of stuff that's 4 times weak to the same things, or is just really weak to the same things. Like Alolan Ninetales, Shaman, Mega Audino don't appreciate poison types. Same thing with Steel types. Mega Audino, Ninetales don't appreciate Steel types, and those are both support Pokemon, so they're not going to take those very well. Fire types, Ninetales, Shaman, Escavalier, do not appreciate that as well. It's just a lot of types you can get exploited by this very same number of moves. Like, I see Ice, Steel, Poison, and Fire just kind of ripping apart this team.
And like when it comes to Ice, sure, he has Volcanion, but a good thing like with Ice types that you could prepare for with Volcanion is probably like some form of ground move or rock move if it gets one. And otherwise, you could just switch out into something that could take a hit from Volcanion and either revenge kill it if you sack it off, or just switch something in and then predict the switch and start setting up in Volcanion space.
Yeah, exactly. So it just makes it kind of predictable. His speed tiers are alright. I just don't think they don't go high enough. Alolan Ninetales only hits base 109, and that's his highest, so that could lead to trouble for anything that's 110 or higher. So I think that'll force him to run Scarfs, and I still don't think it'll be enough.
The only things that I think would benefit from a Scarf would probably be the Thunderous Therian maybe would help with a Scarf, or the Landorus Incarnate, of course, does really well with a Scarf from what I've seen.
Yeah, but you don't want to run those mons with Scarf every week, though, because they can do so much more. Like you said, Double Dance Landorus is very dangerous, but he just doesn't have the speed right now.
Like, Double Dance Landorus sure could do like a number, but if your opponent runs Taunt and predicts you to start setting up Landorus, because Landorus sometimes uses Stealth Rocks, or sometimes will or just only have one of those setup moves being Rock Polish or Swords Dance. So if your opponent is ready for that, they will taunt you. And a lot of taunt users are faster than Landorus.
Yeah, and on topic of Landorus, I don't understand why he didn't pick Landorus for a Z-move mon. His Z-move mons are Thunderous T, Shaman, and Escavalier. I'm a bit confused and surprised to see why Escavalier was the Z-mon over Landorus Eye.
Because the only moves that Escavalier could use Z-move wise would be Mega Horn, Iron Head, and Drill Run, which 2 of those moves don't have the base power, which could really dent a hole in the team.
Yeah, so I'd really love an explanation for the logic behind that. I would really appreciate the insight on it. But anyways, for the time being, they're not. I don't have the Bristol City Rain that's too high on the power rankings.
Yeah. So if we moved on to number 12.
Number 12.
I had the Sophisticated Sableye, and you had the Manchester United, which we've already talked about.
All right, so let's go into Sableyes right away. You want to lead this one?
As soon as the team pulls up, there it is. So he has Heatran, Gyarados, Mega Altaria, Mienshao, Oregon 2, Rotom-Mow, Claydol, Weavile, Ludicolo, Politoed, and Druddigon. The reason why I have it so low is one of the main things we've been talking about, speed. His fastest Pokemon will be Weavile and Mienshao. And otherwise, he doesn't really have that high of a speed tier, in my opinion.
I see, yeah. He does have rain users, which are nice. He has the Ludicolo and the Politoed, which does help him out there, and it always forces prep, which is what they are usually there for. But yeah, I do.
The other thing with rain too is people can over-predict for rain, and then he could not bring it.
Exactly, which does bite people in the butt as well. It also really helps power up Gyarados. I believe Gyarados is one of his Z-Mons. That it is. Yes, it is one of his Z-Mons. And Hydro Vortex in the rain is going to hurt really bad no matter what you are.
Yeah, it is. So, I'm gonna preface this now. My little siblings just got home from school.
Pardon the interruption, kids, but we gotta...
But, yeah, talking about the Hydro Vortex in the rain, it's just insane. If that thing is to +1 in the rain, a Hydro Vortex from Waterfall is going to hurt.
Yeah, you're basically sacking something off to Gyarados if that ever becomes the case. The rest of his mon... Sorry.
The only thing I think could live that would be Ludicolo. But even then, he has Ludicolo.
Yeah, it had to be a 4 times resist, and even still, Gyarados has a walloping attack stat, so someone's still going to take a considerable amount of damage. His speed tiers are really nice. He has Weavile, Mienshao, Ludicolo in the rain is also nice, so I do like that. His hazard control is kind of...
That was one thing I noticed. His only hazard remover, I think, is Claydol.
Yeah, and Claydol tends to be setup fodder in my opinion. Its stats are not good to offensively at all. People can set up free subs, they can start dancing on in front of your face. It's just not too reliable in my opinion. Alright, jumping into, we've already covered, in my number 11 slot, we already covered the JMOs, so we're going to jump into your number 11 and cover the Toronto Star Raptors.
So, the Toronto Star Raptors, looking at it, I do kind of like the setup a little bit. The Necrozma, Excadrill, Keldeo, Delmise, I'm listing it now apparently, Kyurem, Scolipede, Delphox, Aromatisse Swellow, Manectric, and Mega Tyranitar. So, looking at it, one thing that I look at is Manectric personally always does the same thing. I mean, so does Jolteon, and everybody uses Jolteon, but Manectric doesn't have that speed that Jolteon has. It also doesn't have like the same special attack stat, and it doesn't really do what Jolteon does. Necrozma I really like because Necrozma's a monster. If it sets up a couple stored powers, and Excadrill and Keldeo. So his top 3 picks I like, but then getting into some of the lower ones, such as like Delphox and Aromatisse, I personally, looking at the team, don't think it kind of goes together well with his cores.
Well, personally, yeah, I can see your points there. I personally had this team in my top 3 teams because the combination of Drill Rush is just extremely scary, and that on its own just tends to almost just completely terrorizes a lot of teams. Swellow makes up for a lot of speed on its own right. With I think base 126, which is really good. Bird Spam is always good in format. Scully with Scully Pass, because I think Baton Pass is always threatening. His hazard control is all right. He's got 2 spinners in Delmise and Excadrill. And the reason I say that, I don't know about you, I personally like Aromatisse on this draft because Wish Pass does help him out quite a bit. Particularly with his stuff like Delmise, which benefits from having Assault Vest, then getting boosted back up to health. Personally, I'm a fan of that.
You see, now that I'm actually like really hardcore deciphering these, I should have probably placed it a bit higher. Some of these going through them, I'm like looking at them and realizing, this should have been in a different spot.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about this draft, I do think that it does rely on bringing a spinner every week because he does have things that people will want to bring rocks against, such as Delphox, Swallow, Scolipede, Kyurem, regular. People will want to bring rocks to chip away at those threats, so I think he'll have to rely a lot on Delmise and possibly Drill if he needs a spinner. So I do think that will make slightly predictable, but at the same time, it's still a very powerful draft.
I honestly, when looking at this, I didn't see Excadrill and Mega Tyranitar and bring in the Sandrush.
Sandrush is it's just flat out scary. And as far as the Z-move users go, they're pretty decent in their own right. They has Necrozma, who's a pretty decent Z-move user. I think I think Necrozma's move pool is a little more shallow than it would seem to be, but even still, it can do good what it has available. Excadrill is just terrifying with Continental Crush, just out of floor, just destroys anything. And then Kyurem itself is not a bad Z-move on it by any means. It's got good Devastating Drake potential, Sub-Zero Slammer is nice.
And then, there's 3 were Necrozma, Excadrill, and Kyurem. Excadrill I really like is a Z-move user. It's got pretty decent coverage. You could run, I think it gets X-Scissor, so if you needed like a bug to hit something, say like Malamar, or something that's kind of situational, but say Malamar, if Malamar hurt this team, which, looking at it now, Malamar could actually put in work against this team.
Yeah, though you never just want to take a Z-move user just for the sake of one mon, but Drill does have a lot of potential. X-Scissor, Shadow Claw, Iron Head, Rock Slide, it can definitely use a lot with just being a Z-move user, so I do like that combination.
Yeah, I personally think this actually should have been higher on my list. Now that I'm actually deciphering it down into the nitty-gritty, but it's staying where it is for now until I see what's done.
Yeah, anyways, we'll keep moving forward from here. I think we're on to now the number 10 slot now, now you have the Bug Bite Bros, and I have the Nevada Garchomps. You want to go over the Bug Bite Bros?
Sure, we'll go over them. Where did you have the Bug Bite Bros?
I had the Bug Bite Bros up much higher. I had them at number 4, and I'll go into that when I explain it, but I'll let you do that one first.
Alright. When I saw this team, I do like the overall bulk that I can see in, like, Serena. Rotom Heat can even be bulky. Donphan can be bulky. Celesteela can be bulky. Jellicent is bulky. He's got a lot of good bulk, even Gudra. But his main, like, hard-hitting Pokemon are the only ones that I can just pick out are, like, Magearna, Staraptor, Mega Heracross, and Meloetta if he wants to run the Pirouette form. And honestly, looking at that, Magearna shares the typing with Celesteela as well, and they can probably prepare for that. He's got some fire weaknesses in there that kind of go hand in hand with each other, being Magearna, Celesteela, Serena, Mega Heracross. The only things that you could bring in would be like the Rotom Heat and the Jellicent. The Gudra definitely for fire types, depending on if it's physical or special, because Gudra does not have the best physical defensive stat in my opinion.
Yeah, you're definitely right with those critiques. I have it this high for a couple of reasons. Namely, one, when I saw this draft, in my opinion, and a lot of people I definitely hang around with, Magearna is something I personally see as almost arguably broken in Draft League, but that's not the time or place for it. But anyways, it is this very, very potent Mon, and he has a lot of big threats on this team. Celesteela is a very good defensive wall, very versatile as well as what it can do. Staraptor is a really great wall breaker. Donphan, arguably one of the top best spinners. He does have some decent mons as well, like you said, Jellicent and Meloetta. Mega Heracross as well, very good wall breaker. I do see there's potential for this team, which is why I have it so high. The things that clip it down, though, is definitely its speed tiers. I believe, his highest is 105 with Liepard. Does have Prankster, but at the same time, that will hinder it quite a bit. And Staraptor is nice, but it's generally going to be either Scarf or Banded most weeks, so it's going to be choice locked. It's base 100, it can be exploited. And Mega Heracross is such a powerful mon, but quad weak to flying is never a good thing. And like you said as well, Celesteela and Magearna, fire weakness is a bit of a problem. But even still, I have them very high up because I see this draft as very, very powerful.
I'm gonna have to see like how he brings it all together, because in team composition. Because now I'm actually like looking at his cores a little bit deeper. I do like the the Rotom Heat, Serena, and Jellicent, because most people don't expect Serena to be bulky when it's been proven in a couple other leagues. Can be pretty bulky.
Oh yeah, Serena is thick. It's the best word I would describe it. It's a very nice mon. I love using Serena. It can do so many things. It can be your cleric in a sense would be having aromatherapy. It can spin. It can drop stats with Drop Kick, Play Rough. It's very versatile. It's a good fit on this team as a grass type.
Yeah.
He has Magearna, Celesteela, and Meloetta as his Z-move users. And the first two particularly I see as really good Z-move mons. Celesteela has a lot of different versatility. It can use Fire EMZ, just Flying EMZ with Sonic Sky Strike. It's so versatile, it can do what it wants. Same thing with Magearna. You can even run physical Magearna with Shift Gear and just pound things away. Like, I personally have seen success with that set. Meloetta as a mon is personally somewhat questionable because I don't see Meloetta as overly reliable. But it's still a decent Z-mon, in my opinion.
The only thing Z-move worthy for Meloetta I could see is Z Close Combat from the Pirouette form.
Yeah, the problem is with that is getting into Pirouette form because you have to spend Relic Song, which can be blocked. That's a little bit questionable in my opinion, but even still, it's still a decent mon.
And Magearna, it's got like decent special attack, so if it's able to hit that special attack Z move, whether it be Flare Cannon as a Z move, Twinkle Tackle, that if that takes something out and it starts setting up, if you don't have a good special wall for Magearna.
I don't think special walls will cut if you're Magearna. If you don't have an instant check as like a strong ground type, or something that outspeeds and hurts it bad, I don't think you're stopping it. It's Magearna. This is why I personally see it as a very questionable mon of why it's around legally, but even still, since it's here, I see it as a very, very strong mon. I see it has a lot of potential here.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, let's see. Moving on to we're still on number 10, Bug Bite Bros. Let's go over the Nevada Garchomps here.
The Nevada Garchomps.
Garchomp's team, they have on it, they got Latios, Bisharp, Gliscor, Alolan Marowak, Fortress, Mimikyu, Tentacruel, Hariyama, Quagsire, Magmortar, and Mega Venusaur.
So since you had it at 10, why would you put it where it is?
It's not a bad team in any ways. It's kind of decently balanced in my opinion. It has very few things that share a lot of weaknesses together, which is very nice. The problem is I don't see a lot of these mons as overall massive threats. Like Magmortar is alright, but it's not overly threatening. Mimikyu is great with disguise and everything. It can sit up in your face, but I find personally Mimikyu to be a bit underwhelming at times, and it just hasn't proved itself even in like the big leagues such as the GBA this season. Maybe it might have been the coach, but personally I don't see Mimikyu as kind of an overrated mon in my opinion. I don't see it very well used. He also has a lot of big threats. Bisharp has some people do not like Bisharp in format. I personally, it all depends on the person how they use it. I see this team having potential to be good, but it depends on how the coach uses it.
When I saw this team, when I look at teams, I kind of go in and immediately find like the cores. I like the Latios, Bisharp, and Mimikyu core, and also Latios, Fortress, and Mimikyu works really well together as well. However, you don't want Mimikyu coming in and taking a hit because it breaks that disguise. So that's kind of like the counterbalance there. But I really like Gliscor and Quagsire. I really like Quagsire because if you can pass an attack boost, some attack boost to Quagsire, and then you set up the stockpiles on it, you can't kill it.
Yeah, Quagsire does have that tendency, which is why this draft, I do like this draft. It's all about how you use this draft. Mega Venusaur as well, also being one of the top tier threats as a Megamon. It's really, really good. Like, it just has the tendency to just sit there and just kill things and doesn't die. You're only killing it with Flying or Psychic.
And I mean, the only good, like, flying types that could come in on it would be, like, Talonflame, which got nerfed. I'd say the best bird spam now would be Staraptor.
Staraptor?
And
yeah, I
got
agree.
bird spam. Staraptor is, like, one of the best counters to Mega Venusaur, in my opinion, but even then, I think it would take at least 2 if they're running, like, fully physically defensive, which sometimes happens.
Yeah, I see. With Venusaur, you either have a Psychic or Bird on your team, or it just doesn't die. And it's not bad. Gliscor, like you said, Gliscor is such a good mon, especially paired with stuff like Quagsire that can take hits. Hariyama as well is just such a fat mon that does so much damage. I might have wanted to originally put this team higher too. In hindsight, this team is pretty nice. I still have some concerns with it, as a lot of his mons are situational in how they're used. It comes down to the coach's skill, and which we're going to see soon enough. But even still, it's not a bad draft.
And, like, also looking at it, he's got 2 of the best spinners in the game, being Fortress and Tentacruel, so his hazard control is pretty on point, too.
Yeah, the only downside to Fortress is it tends to be setup fodder, which is a bit unfortunate, but even still, it gets just about every hazard in the game other than Sticky Webs.
Yeah. I like the Fortress pick. Good physical wall, and then combine it with Quagsire, which could be whatever you need it to be.
Very true, very true. That's not a bad draft at all. And as far as the Z-move users are concerned, the Garchomps have Latios, Bisharp, and Hariyama. Latios, no surprise there, very potent Z-move user, lots of coverage. Bisharp is kind of interesting. I didn't expect to see that as being his user, but he doesn't. That's another thing on his team as well. His team, as far as move pools go for each mon, doesn't have a lot of variety. Like, you know what they're going to be packing. Like, Marowak's going to be packing every week, like Fire Punch or Flare Blitz and Shadow Bone. Gliscor's going to pack Earthquake or something. Most of his mons are just kind of straightforward in what they're going to pack, like, move pool-wise.
Yeah, and then looking at, like, Hariyama as a Z-move user, a lot of its moves that it normally uses don't really have that raw base power that a Z-move uses, like I brought up before. I think his best one would be Close Combat,
Yeah, that's his.
which I think is his most powerful move.
Yeah, either that or feel like Black Hole Eclipse knockoff would be his best bets, but even still, it's kind of lackluster. Yeah.
And Bisharp is very situational because a lot of people rely, especially like in showdown laddering, will rely on that Sticky Webs or like Defog to bring Bisharp in on. And without that +1, sometimes it just can't do enough damage.
Well, he does have, the good thing is though, with Fortress on his team, with setting up all those hazards, people are gonna want to defog. So Bisharp on this team actually does make a lot of sense. So I do like that though.
I like that. Yes.
All right, yeah. Let's see. Moving on to the number 9 slot, I had the Sophisticated Sableye, and I believe you had the New York Greninjas. Since we covered Sableye, I think already, let's jump into the Greninjas then.
All right. The Greninjas have Tapu Koko, Mamoswine, Entei, Virizion, Cofagrigus, Latias, Licky Licky, Empoleon, Minior, Murkrow, and Mega Scizor. I personally like this team. And like a lot of these teams were just kind of like, I don't know where to put them because they all kind of are equal. This was one of them.
Yeah, we both had this around roughly the same place, 8 or 9. It's not a bad team in any sense. Latias, Koko, and Mega Scizor makes a very powerful pair. Mamoswine just has a tendency to just run through teams on its own. It's very powerful. He has good setups, Stealth Rockers and Empoleon, Cofagrigus also for Toxic Spikes. His hazard removal is decent. He has quite a few defoggers, which is nice, but no spinners.
Yeah, he's definitely lacking that spinner, and having to run defog kind of gets rid of your hazards. Because you, as much as you don't want hazards on your side, you need hazards on the opponent's side, and defog just kind of stops that.
Yeah, exactly. So if he's gonna, I expect to see like hazard-free games when going up against this team because he just has all that removal and defog with no spin. The flaws I see with this team though is particularly I see a bunch of common weaknesses, particularly a lot in, I would say ground is one of them with Koko, Entei, Empoleon. I just see that being a bit of an issue as well as rocks a little bit.
How we were saying, like Earthquake spam. Sure, he has Latias, Minior, and Murkrow, but you don't expect him to bring all 3 of those. So if you got rid of the ones that are immune to Earthquake, you can just kind of spam Earthquake.
Yeah, like I don't see Murkrow coming to a lot of games. It's a very situational Pokemon.
The only thing that Murkrow really does well is like Prankster Feather Dancing.
I feel like Taunt and maybe in some cases Parasong, but even still, it's just very, very situational. Like,
yeah.
This team is like, it's got good attackers. It's really great on the offense. It's also got great hazard removal, but common types that just hit it very hard are probably its flaw. As well as, I feel like also Minior was kind of it's not a favorite pickup by this team. I feel like it doesn't do any roles that other mons don't do other than being a Shell Smash setup, but even still that can be beaten because
but yeah, with Minior, the Shell Smash, that's pretty much the only thing you really see it do with Shell Smashing, which is of course situational, as most people will prepare for that, seeing like, oh, this team has Minior, might as well bring like Taunt or a Counter Sweeper, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. I feel like there could have been another mon he could have picked up for it. He does have still good potential. I like Licky Licky being Wish Pass. Virizion, MV has proven in the GBA how much of a threat Virizion can be. Cofagrigus, such a nice wall.
And honestly, I just really love Mega Scizor too. Mega Scizor is one of my favorite Megas just because if it gets up a Swords Dance, and it's like the bulky offense set, I don't see it dying.
Yeah, this Mega Scizor, people are going to be forced to run Hidden Power Fire from Mega Scizor, which is good because not good, but it can like it takes away a hidden power that can use against another mon. So I do, and he has a lot of fire switch-ins, which is really good. He has like Empoleon, Thick Fat Mamu, Entei, Latias. He has a lot he can do there. I do like this.
And even doesn't Licky Licky get Thick Fat? I'm not quite sure.
It has Cloud 9. I don't know if it has. I don't think it has Thick Fat, but it's bulky.
Yeah. It's just bulky. If like you had especially defensive Licky Licky, it can take Hidden Power Fires for days.
Yeah, definitely. This thing just doesn't die. Pass Wishes, Heal Bell. It can do whatever you want. And as far as his Z-move users go, he's got Virizion, Latias, and Koko. All of which I do like. I think those maybe Mamoswine could have been another Z-move user just to blast through teams. But even still, though, I have no problems with his Z-move users he picked out.
My favorite one is definitely Tapu Koko because if you run like Z-move Thunder in the electric terrain, that thing is gonna hurt.
Yeah, there is not much unless you have an immunity that will take that very well.
And like some Z moves I don't expect seeing ever from any of the Tapus would definitely be the Guardian one, because it only does what 75% damage.
Yeah, I feel like Tapu Koko is not a real great candidate for Taponium Z. I would feel like it would have to be one of the bulkier ones, such as Lele or maybe Bulu. But even still, it is an option if you really have a struggle against a really bulky team. Then that could be an answer. But even still,
And then Virizion I also like because, like you said, MV's proved its worth. If it gets up a Swords Dance and then launches off like a Bloom Doom Leaf Blade, or a All Out Pummeling Focus Blast, if it sets up like in special too, it can do quite a bit.
yeah, I agree with that statement. All right, moving on into the number 8 slot, and let's see, number 8. I had the Greninjas there, so it's not much far off, and you had the Philadelphia Pidgeots.
Correct. The Philadelphia Pidgeots, again, like the like mid teams, I just couldn't decide. I saw Tapu Lele on this team, and I'm like, why is Tapu Lele allowed?
Lele is a strong mon. Personally, I don't see it as broken in format, but even still, there are people who do strongly dislike it, and even still, it is very potent in format.
Because like the main reason I don't like Lele in format, because if you don't have a dark type, and even then it has Moonblast, if you don't have a dark type, a Z-move boosted Psychic Terrain Psychic from that base 130 special attack is gonna hurt.
Yeah, though even still, I feel like personally, if we're going into Lele, we'll get over it. Maybe I don't want to get too opinionated in this because it is a power ranking, so we're going to cover the team itself. Lele does feel like it has more weeks than not will be choice locked because it does benefit greatly from a Scarf. So which does force you, if you have to predict it right. If you predict it right, you can force it out or kill it. So.
Yeah, and then also looking at this, I saw it brought up in a chat earlier. Tapu Lele with Mega Pinsir. The Psychic Terrain will stop Mega Pinsir's quick attacks, so that could severely hinder him as well.
Yeah, I agree. Which he does have Mega Pinsir on this team, so that is very true to be brought up. But he does have good stuff he has built around his Tapu Lele. Magnezone traps the steel types that Lele hates really well, which is a great pick on his part.
And then also looking at it, he's got a lot of poison resist in like Nidoking and Dusclops. Even Aerodactyl, because Aerodactyl can be run pretty bulky too.
Exactly. Umbreon can pass Wish Passes back to his walls, such as Amoonguss, even though it has Regenerator or Suicune. Magnezone, Lele itself. Aerodactyl's just a nice speedster. It also can be a decent stealth rocker. Not real sure about the Gramble pickup, but Dusclops is a nice fat wall, which is very good in a spin blocker, so I do like that pickup, though.
And like talking about rapid spinners, does he have one?
That would be a 0. That's other than his Lele Magnezone combo and Mega Pinsir itself, but even still, Mega Pinsir, as you pointed out, quick attack is now negated thanks to Psychic Terrain. He has no spinners, and his only hazard removal, as far as I see, is Aerodactyl. It's very bad.
Which again isn't like the best Pokemon. Its physical attack is subpar. The only thing that's really good for it is speed and Super Fang.
Yeah, it does have Stone Edge is nice and stuff, but even still, you're relying on Stone Edge, and even still, it will die to a gentle breeze if it's super effective.
Exactly.
Yeah, so unfortunately, the thing is why it's not lower for a team that has no hazard removal. His team isn't exactly weak to hazards. Like, it has Darmanitan, which doesn't like it, and then Aerodactyl itself, and then Mega Pinsir, though, is the big one that doesn't like rocks. But even still, this team, I wouldn't call it exactly over hazard weak.
The only hazard I can see like doing quite a number would actually be Sticky Webs. But again, not very many Pokemon get Sticky Webs.
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, that's very true. But even so, rocks are the main concern, just for mainly for Mega Pinsir. So I feel like
I see Mega Pinsir and I'm immediately running rocks.
Exactly, because that will annoy the heck out of him. But anyways, the Lele Magnezone combo is just probably why this team is this high up, in my opinion. It's very good. It does well at getting rid of its threats, and then Lele comes in and kills them. And I believe he has Lele as his Zmon, if I am not mistaken.
Lele, Nidoking, and Darmanitan. I like all three of those.
I would have to agree with that. Yeah, they're very good at what they do.
Because Lele, of course, would always be running like the Psychonium Z.
Yeah, that's...
Because Psychic, from a modest Tapu Lele with the Z move in the Psychic Terrain.
It's just a nuke, basically. It's just...
basically a nuke. It's basically taking, like, Victini's V-Create and Darmanitan's Flare Blitz and, like, combining them together, because those are both just nukes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why this team struggles with hazards, but at the same time, it has so much firepower behind it that it really just brings it up on its own regard.
I see a lot of hyper offense to be run with this team, not so much like bulkiness. I see just a lot of wall breaking to be done.
Yeah, he has some potentials like pivot options in like Umbreon and Amoonguss particularly, but yeah, this team will probably be running hyper offense more weeks than not. Then let's see.
Yeah, and again, like talking about the Z-move users, Darmanitan.
Very potent. Darmanitan's got a lot of options, just such a good like Scarf user as well as potentially being a Z-Mon. I like it. It's not too bad at all.
And I mean, Flare Blitz is already in the nuke button for it. You give that Fiery MZ, it's even more of a nuke.
Yeah, that's very true. Let's see here, number 7. Number 6.
Moving on.
We both covered our number 7s in the past because we've already covered the Rhode Island Rotoms and the Philadelphia Pidgeots. My number 6 for this one is I have the Texas Tyrantrums as number 6. We're starting to get into the better teams right now. We're getting closer to that top 5. So let's see, the Tyrantrums, they are packing a squad of Garchomp, Mew, Gengar, Arcanine, Crobat, Primarina, Electros, Gastrodon, Alolan Persian, Leafeon, and Mega Lopunny.
I like this team. That's why it's number 5 for me. I like this team. Mainly because Mega Lopunny and Mew are two of the best Pokemon in the format.
Yeah, this team is very good. Mega Lopunny is always a power play. It basically, there is no Mon in the game that resists both its stabs, thanks to Scrappy, which makes it such a potent attacker.
And like even then, if there is you don't even really need to run the Elemental. It'd be like very situational, like maybe Ice Punch for some Dragon Flyings or Fire Punch for Scizor. But otherwise, High Jump Kick in return hits everything.
Exactly, and sub Drain Punch also is a very potent combination. Also has other ways to run even some sort of utility or harassment with Encore or Heal Bell or even Baton Pass. It has potential in that, which makes it very somewhat versatile actually, which is really good.
I was about to say Garchomp along with some of the other like physical walls, because Garchomp can be physical wall, Arcanine can be a wall, Crobat can be a wall, Persian's just a physical wall because of Fur Coat.
Yeah. And on top of that, Alolan Persian can even be a decent attacker with Technician, Hidden Power, and then set up with Nasty Plot. And at 115 speed, that thing it's quite versatile. You can run it bulky or offensive.
The only thing it really lacks is like a bulky Pokemon is reliable recovery, but even then, it doesn't really need it. Does he have a Wish Passer?
Lopunny technically gets Wish, but I wouldn't call that a Wish Passer.
I would not call that a Wish Passer, no.
Yeah, no. His other concern I have is he does not have a Rapid Spinner.
Oh, he does not. It's only Defog and like Crobat.
Defog, Crobat, and Mew.
And Mew.
Yes.
Which Mew, where we're going to see it more is probably Mew, because that's how most people run Mew in this. But Mew can do almost anything.
Yeah, I feel like most people tend to rely more on defensive Mew just because it has so much utility and bulk that it can run anything it wants for that purpose. But even still, offensive Mew is very nice, and Crobat can be decent as a defogger to help Mew out with that, but even still, I don't like having Mew only to other Mon to rely on defog, which does put this team a little bit down.
And like another thing I see with Crobat, other than a defogger, Crobat can, be bird spam, which is just very, very good in this format because not a lot of things resist flying type.
Yeah. And on top of that, I do like the Leafeon as well. Leafeon doesn't fit always a lot of teams, but with Sticky Webs, it really helps Mega Lopunny out to outspeed Scarf users that want to try to check it. So that really helps it out.
You said Leafeon, and I got confused for a second.
Well, not Leafeon, Leavanny. Brain fart.
But yeah, one of the only Sticky Web users in the game. Leavanny is actually pretty good with this team, in my opinion. Again, like you said, with the Mega Lopunny, even the Gengar. You get that Sticky Webs up, not just going to outspeed Gengar either.
Exactly. Stuff also like Garchomp is also threatening. Arcanine has lots of versatility to run. Bulk, offensive even. It's good to go. This team is very good. Just lacks hazard control, I feel like, is the main thing. And also, it really depends on how he wants to use Mew and how what sets he wants to put for it. Like, because you have a lot of creative control with this team. It just depends how you can make it.
One time with Mew, if we're talking about it, like different sets, one time I did run like a Calm Mind Iron Defense set, which is just broken. It did kind of get stopped by Taunt a bit, but my opponent didn't have a Taunter.
That's true. You can make Mew whatever you want. And as far as the Z-move users go, Mew is arguably one of the best because of what it can run. He also has Garchomp, which just has the coverage to be a great Z-Mon, and then Gengar as well. Very potent Z-Mons.
Bold prediction, we're going to see Z Sandstorm Garchomp a lot.
We very well could, honestly. Even still, it's for all you know, we very could well do that because the speed boost is nice. I think you get speed boost and the evasion boost.
Yeah, because Sandveil. And with Sand, it also kind of helps out Gastrodon if you wanted to run Sand Force.
That's actually interesting. I never would have thought of, but yeah, that is very true. You could do that.
I've seen it happen before. Gastrodon can actually put in work with Sand Force.
All right, we'll keep that into consideration, maybe, possibly. If he makes that work, I would love to see that match. All right.
It'd be very entertaining to see Gastrodon sweep.
You never know, man. You never know. Let's see. In number 6 as well, you have the Portage Herdiers.
And again, like I've said, going through a lot of these teams, it was kind of, for me, they were all around the same. I couldn't really pick. So that's why, like, for me, it's kind of tied with the Tyrandrams. But, like, I just love that he has Victini, Manaphy, and Tangrowth. I saw those 3 and just immediately, like, how did he get all 3 of those?
Yeah. My thing is with this team, I have this as the number 2 team, and reason it's all the way up there right now is this team, in my opinion, has 3 of the best Z movers in the game on the same team. You have Hydreigon with amazing coverage, Victini with phenomenal, amazing coverage, and then Manaphy who can just set up Z Rain Dance or just Hydro Vortex anything to bits, along with some decent coverage as well. This team just has power.
And like Manaphy as a Z-move user, that's one of his Z-move users, it better be. I'm expecting to see Z-move Rain Dance and then just Tail Glow and Sweep.
Exactly. He also has support in Florges being Wish Pass and Cleric purposes, Galvantula for Sticky Web purposes, and if you want to run Rain Dance, even with Compound Eyes, you can just get Thunders off for free no matter what in the rain. Tangrowth is just such a bulky wall that just eats hits. Golbat as well, just being fat and just eating up hits. Gourbice is situational. It's definitely there to be a shell smasher. And
is smash passing allowed?
I've not looked at the rules. Do not quote me on that. I'm not 100% certain if it is or not, but even still, shell smash is still always a threat. Piloswine, decent bulky wall. It's low budget mammal swine, but even still, Primeape is also a decent fighting type. A lot of times we'll run Choice Scarf, but even still can do a pounding. And then Mega Aggron is such a nice bulky steel type.
I hate Mega Aggron with a passion. Whenever I see it on my opponent's team, I think like, oh, a good special hit will do it, and then you bring a good special attacker, and they run fully specially defensive, and you just sit there and cry.
Yeah, it's a strong mon to go up against. Oh boy, like that can make the difference to a lot of teams. You want a Lele check, you got one right there in Mega Aggron.
That's definitely a Lele check.
Oh boy, it's a strong team. The flaws to this team, I would say, initial glance, base speed is kind of low, but he does have Galvantula to get up to Sticky Webs. It's just a matter of can he keep them up or not. He does have a couple of recurring type weaknesses, a little bit of a fighting weakness as well, so particularly.
And even then with the fighting weakness, Mega Aggron doesn't take too much from a lot of fighting type moves because most of them are physical.
Exactly, and has a lot of other resistance throughout his team as well. This is why it's the number 2 team in my opinion. This is going to be a tough team to beat.
It definitely is. And then I believe my number 5 was the Texas Tyrantrum. Or was this my number 5? My number 5 was the Texas Tyrantrums, which we just talked about.
Yeah, and then we covered number 4. We both covered the Bug Bite Bros and the Bristol City Baynets. Number 3 was the Tarantula Star Raptors and Nevada Garchomps we covered already. Number 2 was the Portage. We covered Portage Herdiers on my side. California Lucarios.
Which California Lucario is definitely one of the best teams. You can see just from looking at the teams.
California.
It's got such good balance in Salamence and Ferrothorn, and Salamence is arguably one of the best Pokemon in the format.
Yeah, Salamence has just been rising in popularity and in power recently, and the Z-move user is one of the best as well because it just really benefits from being a Z-move user.
It gets Hydro Cannon, right?
It gets Hydro Pump.
Hydro Pump, that's what it is. Still, If it's a special set, it could run like Z Hydro Pump, which could take out quite a few things that are water weak. Devastating Drink is a really potent one. You could even run Supersonic Sky Strike with Fly.
Yeah, that would definitely be the most notable one for Salamence, yes. And as a defensive core, it's... by God, it's amazing. Clefable, Salamence, Ferrothorn. Good God, break that core.
And I mean, Slowbro. like Ferrothorn, Slowbro, and Clefable are like basically OU stall from 6th gen.
Yeah, you're just missing Doug Trio.
You're missing Doug Trio, and you're missing like Mega Save Play. And
yeah.
He has OU stall.
Oh, thank God he never got that. But even still, he has so many other things to back it up. Emboar is such a fantastic wall breaker. It can just blast anything apart that it really wants to do. Snorlax is such a fat Pokemon. It just sits there and eats hits, as well as being able to do some decent hits back with normal type damage. And also is, I believe, one of his Z movers. So we might see some Pulverizing Pancakes this season.
I was about to say we need to see some pancakes this season.
I want some pancakes, man.
Yeah, it's definitely his Z moves are even Emboar as well. Because does Reckless carry over into Z moves? Because a Reckless, Flare Blitz, Fire EMZ.
I don't think so, but even still, that's such a lot of power that I think it's even more better than just a Reckless boost.
It definitely is. And I also really like Mudsdale.
I was quite the opposite of Mudsdale. I think it's a little bit questionable. I feel like there were other mons he could have taken from Mudsdale because it's good at what it does. Don't get me wrong. It's like I feel like the two things you're gonna do with Mudsdale, you're gonna either Bandit or Assault Vest it, and then start hitting things. I think there were other ground types though that he could have taken instead of Mudsdale.
True. I just personally like Mudsdale and what it does. And with this team, I don't see the reason why Mudsdale isn't awful.
It's not awful at all. I don't prefer it on this team, but even still, like I feel like there's stuff better. But even still, it's not a bad Pokemon in any means for this team.
And he obviously has one of the best Volters in the game in Mega Manectric, but that's basically all it's known for. So you can kind of prepare for Mega Manectric to do what it does.
Yeah, Skunk Tank is great for defog. It's also good at being lots of coverage, Fire Blast, Sucker Punch, Poison Jab. It's very good at what it does. Hunt Tail, Shell Smash again. Really thing I really question with this team is Masquerain.
Masquerain 4 times weakness to rocks. It is a defogger now.
Yeah, but what good is a defogger when you're 4 times weak to rocks though?
It's not.
Yeah,
I just noticed he has no spinner.
Yeah, that's my only critique with this team. I think this team was, if I'm not mistaken, it's my I believe. Let me check what I'm saying. It's my number 1 team, but even still, that's based off the defensive core. I feel like he would really need to find another mon that isn't Masquerain, because I just don't see how Masquerain fits this team very well.
I feel like if he switched up Masquerain for like a low tier spinner, so that way he could have some control and defog.
Yeah, like
Ferrothorn is great for setting up hazards, but it's no good if all you have is defog and they set up hazards on you.
Yeah, I feel like personally, if I want to give a suggestion to the Lucario's, maybe something like Armaldo might do you good. Stealth Rocker and Spinner, as well as being a bug type, could really help you out. But even still, this team is not at all a bad team. It's such good defensive prowess.
It definitely is. I'm glad I put it where I did, because like that rapid spinner thing is just kind of hitting me a bit. But it's definitely worthy of number 1 and 2.
Yeah, I believe there's one more team left to cover, and I think it is your number 1 team, the Memphis Bewares.
It's your number 5, so why did you put it in number 5?
Number 5, hold on, my draft is rebooting of Memphis Bewares. This team, it's not a bad team at all in any respect. It's got some of the best attackers out there, such as Kyurem Black, Raikou, Togekiss being a flinch hack, and Metagross. This team has a couple questionable picks, which is really why I knocked it down to number 5. I don't get Rapidash a lot, and particularly Z Rapidash.
Okay, I didn't notice the Z moves being in Z Rapidash when I was first looking at this. That's actually kind of questionable to me.
Yeah, I would love to know. I would really like to know the logic behind Rapidash, and personally, I feel there are other fire types, like Pyroar when undrafted here. I feel like Pyroar would have been a better fit for this team as well, because he doesn't have a normal type, so you can technically spam ghost moves all day.
That you could.
Yeah.
However, I personally really like this team. Of course, it's my number 1. The Kyurem Black Togekiss Metagross core is really what drew me to it, because those are all just really overpowered, bulky attackers.
Yeah, they very are. Toga Flinch is just so annoying to deal with sometimes. It can be annoying. Parahacks as well. Wish passing. Milotic is such a nice wall. You can run Flame Orb variant with Marvel Scale to be a nice physical wall, as well being special because it just has that natural bulk. Chestnut as well being just naturally physically defensive. Sheer Force and Nidoqueen just blast things apart. He has he has decent spinners, which is nice. He's got Hitmonchan and Cryogonal, which is nice as his spinners. Mega Absol as well is not bad at all with Magic Bounce and just being naturally fast and powerful.
Like, honestly, Mega Absol, though it is like a tier 2 Mega, is my favorite, is like my second favorite Mega overall, just in general, because I just love Mega Absol.
Yeah, Absol is my favorite Pokemon overall, but even still, like, it's not a bad Pokemon in format in any means.
Because it's got really great versatility. It has a Poison Jab, Play Rough, Knock Off, Pursuit. What it does is what it's really good at.
Yeah, it does well what it does well, but even still, I just feel like Rapidash was questionable as a Pokemon and as a Z-move user, and not having a normal type is just really questionable, because you're going to get, that means there's no reason someone clicks Shadow Ball on this team 100% of the time without having to worry about being completely blocked.
And like the only thing that can switch into Shadow Ball would probably be Absol, but even then it doesn't have the best bulk.
Exactly, so that's why I'm saying that I really don't like Rapidash on this team. I feel, personally, Pyroar is undrafted right now. I really recommend that as a pickup over Rapidash. But even still, I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to see if Rapidash can prove to something. But even still, right now I'm not a believer.
Yeah, like Rapidash, I just thought it was like, mad props for drafting it. But then at the same time, like, there are better options such as Pyroar. I personally also don't like Hitmonchan. It's a good spinner, but most people are definitely going to predict like all the punching moves. So
even still, though, it's got nice. The one thing I will give Hitmonchan, it's got nice natural Spadef, so you could just slap an Assault Vest on it and put like punching moves and spin, which does make it just pretty good in general. But even still, yeah.
And then like two other Pokemon that just kind of like I just love, and they work together are the Raikou and Nidoqueen.
Oh god, yeah, like I like that. You can run set up Raikou or just flat out, just all out attacking Raikou. The Nidoqueen just blasts things apart.
The best Raikou set in Draft League format, in my opinion, is the sub Calm Mind with like extra sensory, I think Thunderbolt. But then like Crocodile kind of stops that.
Well,
depending on like the coverage you want to run with that, it's just kind of like situational.
Yeah, you can put whatever you want for whatever matchups you want, but yeah, Raikou has a lot of versatility with it. Kyurem Black has as well. His Z-move mons are pretty decent as well for the Bueras. He's got, obviously, Nidoqueen and Kyurem Black are both very good Z-mons. I just don't, again, Rapidash, I'm sorry, I'm going to keep bringing it up. I just don't like it.
Alright, we're going to have to wrap it up because I'm getting hailed.
No worries. I feel like I think that's every single team, so thank you guys so much for tuning in to the initial team power rankings for the IBA, and we will be back at you with the matches, week 1 matches coming up very soon. So we'll see you guys next time, guys. Goodbye.
Take care, everyone.